All right, so we're here in Ridgewood, New Jersey. This is an area where the Lenape Indians once have hunted, but they live more so in Paramus, New Jersey. So we're outside in the woods, right outside of Hawes Elementary School, where I work, and we're looking for signs of life because that's what Lenape Indians used to do. They used to walk around the woods and they would search for footprints, tracks, any sorts of specific chews that the animals did that would identify that the animals had been there. And now these Lenape Indians, once they located the animals, would begin to hunt these animals. And they would use arrowheads and some other handheld weapons to do so, which means they had to get very close to the animals in order to hunt them. So in order to do this, they had some very specific tracking techniques, or stalking techniques, I should say. And they had to very carefully walk through the woods so they wouldn't step on the leaves, so they wouldn't step on the sticks, so they wouldn't make a single sound to scare away the animal, because if they scared away the animal, there goes any dinner or any food that they were going to have for later. But Lenape didn't only use these animals for food. They also used them in order to make clothing and make weapons and make tools and all sorts of other things. Lenape are known as the first ever recyclers. They did not waste anything. They liked to use all parts of the animals that they caught. So it was very important that they did not scare away these animals and that they could get to them successfully and hunt these animals. Now, the men and the boys were the ones that were responsible for hunting these animals, and therefore they would leave their villages for weeks at a time. And when you leave your village a week at a time, a village in which you normally live in either a wigwam or a longhouse, you have to find shelter elsewhere. So they would go off on journeys in search of these animals, especially deer. And when they did, they had to make shelters for the temporary time that they were going to be in these new areas. So what they would do is they would find a tree that had a few different stalks coming out of it, a solid tree that they could put a large broken down branch into. And then they would take a whole bunch of other branches and lean up against that branch, all next to each other on both sides of the shelter. And then they would throw as many leaves as possible on the top of the lean-to shelter, and they would also stuff a lot of leaves inside the lean-to shelter on the ground, because a nice thick layer of leaves on the ground created a nice warm bedding for those that were staying in there. And this is the shelter that they created in order to successfully hunt within the woods while they were looking for their food and other items that they would get from these animals. All right, that's all for today. Thank you.